Hare Krishna. Let me just do certain.
All the Oracle projects on board right now. All of them. Can you hear me? There is
Yes, I just started the live stream.
Oh, you did.
Yes, I'm just sending the message.
I'm in a meeting, Prabhu. I'll come back.
Yes, bro. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Ruttama-shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike Sranvata Swakataha Krishna Punyashravana Kirtanaha Hridayantasto Yabhadrani Vidhnoti Suhritsatam. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Good morning. We are continuing our discussion from Canto 3, Chapter 26, Six Fundamental Principles of Material Nature, verse 7. The verse, Tadasya samshrutir bandhaha paratantram chatatkritam bhavati akrutur ishasya sakshino nivridatmanaha. Synonyms, tat, from the misconception, asya, of the conditioned soul, samshritihi, conditioned life, bandhaha, bondage, paratantriam, dependence, cha, and tat kritam, made by that, bhavati, is, akartuhu, of the non-doer, ishasya, independent, sakshinaha, the witness, nivrita atmanaha, joyful by nature. Translation: Material consciousness is the cause of one's conditioned life, in which conditions are enforced upon the material living entity by the material energy. Although the spirit soul does not do anything and is transcendental to such activities, he is thus affected by conditional life. Purport: The Mayavadi philosopher, who does not differentiate between the supreme spirit and the individual spirit, says that the conditional existence of the living entity is lila, or pastime. But the word pastime implies employment in the activities of the Lord. The Mayavadis misuse the word and say that even if the living entity has become a stool heating or hog, he is also enjoying his pastimes. This is most dangerous interpretation. Actually, the Supreme Lord is the leader and maintainer of all living entities. His pastimes are transcendental to any material activity. Such pastimes of the Lord cannot be dragged to the level of conditional activities of the living entities. In conditional life, the living entity actually remains as if a captive in the hands of material energy. Whatever the material energy dictates, the conditioned soul does. He has no responsibility. He is simply the witness of the action. But he is forced to act in that way due to his offense in his eternal relationship with Krishna. Lord Krishna therefore says in the Bhagavad Gita that Maya, his material energy, is so forceful that is insurmountable. But if a living entity simply understands that his constitutional position is to serve Krishna and he tries to act on this principle, then however conditioned he may be, the influence of Maya immediately vanishes. This is clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter. Krishna takes charge of anyone who surrenders to him in helplessness, and thus the influence of Maya or conditional life is removed. The spirit soul is actually Satchidananda, eternal, full of bliss and full of knowledge. Under the clutches of Maya, however, he suffers from continued birth, death, disease, and old age. One has to be serious to cure this condition of material existence and transfer himself to Krishna consciousness, for thus his long suffering may be mitigated without difficulty. In summary, the suffering of the conditioned soul is due to his attachment to material nature. This attachment should thus be transferred from matter to Krishna. Once again, the translation. Translation. Material consciousness is the cause of one's conditional life, in which conditions are enforced upon the living entity by the material energy. Although the spirit soul does not do anything and is transcendental to such activities, is thus affected by conditional life. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We'll offer some prayers and get into the discussion. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for giving me this chance once again. So as we all understand, we are continuing the section of the discussion between Kapila Dev and his mother Devahuti, and Kapila Dev is further continuing the knowledge of Sankhya in this chapter. And as we see, the chapter is named as the fundamental principles of material nature. And here, Kapila Dev is basically explaining why the conditioned soul kind of gets into the whole material consciousness, and how, even though he does not do anything, how does he get kind of affected by the conditional life? And Prabhupada beautifully explains. So so the plan is just have some discussion, and then I wanted to read a recent article that Chaitanya Charan Prabhu published. The name of the article is "I Cannot Serve Two Masters." So it felt like it kind of beautifully ties into the topic, the topic that the verse discusses, and then also gives us a way out on how can we kind of not serve two masters. So we'll end with that. So as kind of we all understand, the Shaktiman, the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna and Srimati Radharani, they have, as Shaktiman, they have multiple Shaktis or energies, basically classified into three, as we all understand. One is the Antaragna Shakti, which is the internal potency, and the Bahiranga Shakti, which is the external potency, and then the middle, which all of us constitute into as the Tatastha Shakti, which when we translate them into English, we translate Antaranga as the internal, Bahiranga as the external, and Tatastha as the marginal. And so internally is something that kind of assists Lord in his various pastimes, and Bahiranga Shakti is the external potency of the Lord, which kind of takes care of this entire material creation that's required based on the desire that we have to kind of enjoy outside of the Lord's company. And that's what external energy, the Bhiranga Shakti is kind of coordinating and orchestrating all of that. And as the definition goes, that the Tatastha Shakti, or the marginal potency, is something that cannot be neutral. I remember once hearing quite long back where it said in bhakti there's no neutrality that we can maintain. Either we are sliding down, which means we are getting more and more into the control of Bhairanga Shakti, or either we are kind of going up where we are going more and more control into of Antaranga Shakti. But in some ways, if we kind of think of it, how it's like explaining, so we are saying all three are the Shaktis, the energies of the Lord. So it's like saying, as Srila Prabhupada explains, it's the sun is there, which is the Shaktiman, and then there are sun rays, which are his Shaktis. So it's like saying, when we are saying the Tatastha Shakti, the marginal potency, the Jivas are being controlled either by Bhairanga Shakti or Antaranga Shakti. It's as if saying one sun ray is controlling the other sun ray, which kind of, how can one energy control the other energy? And the so 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 the same speaker back then was explaining that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that it's not that Bhiranga Shakti, it's not that when we are saying that Maya Devi is controlling us, it's not that Maya Devi is tightly holding us together and saying you just cannot leave from here. It's us as the marginal potency are kind of embracing Maya Devi so tightly and then creating this huge shouting and then noise and saying, "Oh, Mahadevi, please let go of me. Oh, Mahadevi, please let go of me. I just don't want to be with you. I want to be with Krishna. Just please let go of me." It's like a person going and embracing this a huge tree which is full of thorns, and then bleeding, saying that and crying, saying, "I'm bleeding because of these thorns. Somebody please help me to just get out of this tree. This tree is the one which is controlling me. I'm losing all of my blood." And then somebody just walks in and he says, all you have to do is just let go of that and you're free. So Bhaktisiddhanta explains that that is our condition. As Tatastha Shakti, it's not that either the Bhairanga Shakti or Antaranga Shakti are trying to control us. It's our choice to be under the shelter of, because by nature we have to be either with the Bhairanga Shakti or Antaranga Shakti. We cannot just be in the neutral state. We either have to go up or slide down. So it's our choice of what do we want to do. Do we want to kind of get into the zone of the Bhairanga Shakti or to get into the zone of the Antaranga Shakti? And for this verse, as Srila Prabhupada was also explaining, and various acharyas explain, that the primary problem or the primary root cause of bondage, which is also what um, our Kapiladev is explaining in this line, where he says, although the spirit soul does not do anything and is transcendental to such activities, is thus affected by conditional life. So our acharyas explained that even so, why is it that we don't do anything? So when we say that, oh, there are a lot of things that we are doing. Um, Even when we kind of speak about the doership mentality, sometimes it's a huge topic. We are not the doer, but we are still the doer. There is this, as Bhagavad Gita explains, there is kshetra, there is this place of activity, there is the kshetrajna, which is the knower of the entire activity. So there is, when we talk of the doership mentality, there is a certain scope or zone of control of what we do. But acharyas explain that we only regard the title of doership to somebody who understands three things. So just because, for example, if if there's a major activity that's happening, and if a person is playing a small part of it, we don't attribute the entire credit of the entire activity to just that one person who has helped. Let's say we are trying to do a huge yagna, and this one person walks into a shop, and then we let's say we don't have camphor, and this person walks into the shop, he brings the camphor and then gives it to the pujari. So we will not attribute the entire activity of successful performance of yagna just to that one person. So similarly, there is scope, and there is obviously a huge, or not a huge, or there's a role that we do perform in the activities that kind of we do. But our acharyas explain that there are three things, and only a person who can successfully claim to have access or ability to do these three things can be given the title of doership. And these three things is, one is obviously the effort, which is the physical part of doing it. And then that is the physical part. And before effort comes the desire, which is the desire to do the yajna. So in this case, let's say if we are doing the yajna, then the physical part of actually doing the effort of yajna, and then comes the desire, which is just the desire to do the yajna. But the prominent thing that the acharya say is only a person who has this component fully under his control can say that he is the doership, and that's the knowledge. So only a person who has the entire knowledge of how to do an action can claim the title of doership. This is the definition that especially Vallabhacharya gives with respect to how do we consider somebody is a doer and somebody is not a doer. Is somebody who has the entire knowledge of how to do an action and also has the desire and also puts in the effort can actually comes, because he says that these three go together: knowledge, desire, and effort. And in our case, all of us can, just the entirety of the humankind and the kandya and the jivas can I think confidently claim that we don't have the entire knowledge of anything to do. We rely on somebody else, and in some cases, like I was in the same thing, I was thinking. So we will go further, and then we'll discuss about that example also. Is that so the doership is somebody who kind of has this knowledge, desire, and effort. And interestingly, because we don't have control of all these three things, that's the primary reason why no jiva is ever successfully claimed as being a doership. And our acharyas explained that in by that definition, all we are doing is just being a witness to the action that is being performed. And in some cases with our involvement, and in some cases just without our involvement. We see in our life sometimes things happen and we just don't know how it actually happened. If I take the example of my own life, sometimes I just wonder how certain things happen. But the only which my mom kind of reminds me multiple times is the only reason is just because there are certain devotees who are just praying for my well-wishing, devotees who are kind of intensely praying to the Lord, and that's the only plausible and logical explanation to kind of explain why certain things are happening in my life in a certain way. Because other than that, there's obviously not much of an effort that I've put into it, or like there's no knowledge, or there's sometimes not even a desire of that action, that thing has to happen, but it does happen, and ultimately it's for my benefit. And the only reason is that, oh, it was just the prayers and the intense desire of some other devotee who was wishing well for me. So in many cases, so that's why there's obviously no reason or no credit in claiming ourselves as doership. So from that perspective, our acharyas explained that we are just mere witness, and the Lord is the one who is actually the doer, because he is the one who has the complete scope of knowledge of how to perform an action, and also has the desire, and also has the effort of through his various shaktis, obviously. And Aracharyas explained, which kind of ties into the point that Kapiladev is explaining, is although spirit soul does not do anything. So that's that when Kapiladev is explaining does not do anything, is referring to this point of being the doer. Although the spiritual soul does not do anything and is transcendental to such activities, is thus affected by conditional life. So the primary root cause of bondage is having this doership mentality. And the doership mentality comes because of the deep attachment of being in this zone. So the example that I was saying, which I don't know if many might, because I think most of us are from India, all of us are from India, so I think we'll be able to correlate. Is most of India is this cricket crazy fans. And back in November 2023, when India lost the World Cup final, many of the Indians were experiencing this intense pain, even though they were not the ones who played any of those games. They were not the ones who kind of lost it, But even I personally remember I woke up so early in the morning. I'm not somebody who is quite looking forward to waking up early in the morning. But that day I just woke up quite early in the morning, and but at the end of the day I was just feeling this intense pain, and I think I remember sharing this to somebody also, like the same pain that I experienced back in 2003 when the last time India lost the World Cup. I was experiencing the same pain. There's like I was not the one who was playing the game. Now when I look back, it's like this verse is kind of helping me so much that in it. So I had this deep attachment just to the sport because there's a lot of memories, and like that was the game that I used to sit with my father. So um, when I'm watching a cricket match, I just go back into that 7 to 8 year old boy who was sitting in his father's lap, just enjoying the time. So there's this deep attachment that I'm kind of correlating with the memories or whatever it is, but there's a deep attachment that I'm correlating with just this, with just that cricket match as a thing. And the intense pain that I was experiencing as 34 35 year old boy, old man, was the same because I was kind of going back to that space of being the small little boy sitting in his father's lap, and his father was sad, he was sad. So it's the deep attachment. And similarly, because even though I was not the actual doer there, I was this is the classic example. I was just a mere witness of a game that was being played, and I was also not in the physical space of where it is being played. It was being played in India. I was here in Chicago, in Aurora, but I was still feeling this intense, experiencing this intense pain when the team that I thought was mine was losing the match. And that was, if I kind of look back, is because of the deep attachment, for whatever reason it was, but it was the deep attachment that I was holding on to. And that deep attachment, even though was just being a witness, I was still holding on to that kind of the doership mentality of, oh, it's like I somehow I have the ability to control how the match should go. It's like just because I know how just thinking that, oh, I know how cricket is played, I have the desire that this should do, and it's like there's no effort that I was putting in, but still I have this I have this think of that doership mentality, and then that is because of the deep attachment that I have, and the end result is the experiencing of the intense pain. And our acharyas, like every acharya, as Srila Prabhupada is also explaining, the problem is because of the even though the spirit soul is actually Sachidananda, under the clutches of Maya, he suffers from continued birth, disease, old age. So that's our that. So it's like even though by nature we are somebody who is Sachidananda, who is supposed to experience this extreme bliss at every moment by moment, but we, in our experience in this world, it's like intense pain. So as so that's what Kapila is explaining. The root cause is the bondage, and the bondage is because of the doership mentality, and the doership mentality is because of the deep attachment. And what bondage leads is this experiencing of intense pain, which is completely outside of our nature of being Sachidananda. So at this point, we kind of discussed what is the problem, and that. So for the remedy, I would just wanted to read this article by Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, and then we'll kind of discuss some thoughts around that. So Chaitanya Charan Prabhu writes, "My dear Lord, I cannot serve two masters simultaneously, especially when those masters have opposite interests. The force of illusion, Maya, wants to entangle me in the world of matter, while you want to liberate me from its clutches. Help me, O Lord, to unsentimentally understand the intrinsic incompatibility of material attachment and spiritual commitment. I have only one heart, and on the throne of my heart, there can be only one ruler. It can be you, or it can be an illusory substitute, millions of which are dangled before me by your illusory energy. Most of these temptations come in the incarnations of sensual pleasure and material treasure. Please, O Lord, help me to see that whatever these temptations offer is insignificant compared to what you offer. How can a mere drop of titillation compare with an ocean of satisfaction? Whenever I am unable to become absorbed in you. Let me not be misled by the treacherous misconception that you are not sufficiently attractive. The reality is that I am not sufficiently available to realize and relish how attractive you truly are. My consciousness is captivated, indeed abducted, by the things that I am attached to. So much so that even when I'm in front of you, I'm not actually in front of you. Please deliver me from such attachments so that I can freely and fully offer my heart to you, my eternal Lord. So, just reading the final line once again. Please deliver me from such attachments so that I can freely and fully offer my heart to you, my eternal Lord. So, when I read this I think this was sent few days back. Yeah, this was like a couple of weeks back, Thursday, April 3rd. And as I was preparing for this discussion, it just kind of was the perfect um, I thought like can be a perfect conclusion beyond what something like we all kind of appreciate the brilliance of Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, and this is something that was so beautiful. So just to conclude, the only thing that as I'm kind of just lost in appreciation of Chaitanya Charan Prabhu right now, just here reading it again. Um, the the thought that I wanted to kind of end with is the remedy is, as Chaitanya Charaprabhu has so beautifully put it, is just humbly praying to the Lord. Is there's as Srila Prabhupada also points out in his purport, and yes, as Bhaktisiddhanta points out, all we have to do is just let go. But at the point where we are, we kind of lost or we forgot that we have the ability to let go of the attachment that we have of Maya Devi. And that's unfortunately where we are. And all kind of maybe, I think I was recently somebody I think was saying that um, I think it was my wife was sharing with me that sometimes we might think that like we are told that go in front of the Lord and just pray that Krishna, please help me. And sometimes we just cannot even do that for lack of confidence in prayers. Or sometimes we might think, oh, if I pray, why will Krishna listen to me? If my spiritual master prays, then Krishna will listen to me. If Srila Prabhupada prays, Krishna might listen to me. Or we might even think if my friend plays, Krishna will listen to me. But I'm just so fallen that Krishna will never listen to my prayers. So somebody was sharing to my wife that it's not if you're feeling that Krishna will not listen to your prayers, go to Krishna and just say that Krishna, I'm at this junction right now where I don't have confidence in my own prayers, but I have confidence that you are there. As Chaitanya Charan Prabhu is saying, please deliver me from such attachments so that I can freely and fully offer my heart to you. So at this point, my prayer might not be that, oh Krishna, I want to offer my heart to you because I'm not there. I cannot even let go of the attachments. Like I know that I can, but I just forgot that I have the ability to let go. It's like it's like that unique confusing position where we place ourselves in. We have the ability, we have the control, but we forgot it's kind of, I think I'm not able to explain it properly, but I hope I'm able to convey the message. It's so confusing. So all we kind of can do, go in front of Shri Radha Shyam Sundar, and like as I think this is what I'm going to just use from now on, this so beautiful prayer that Chaitanya Charan Prabhu has wrote to kind of just go in front of Shri Radha Shyam Sundar, Shri Radha Vamshi Gopal, just saying that, oh my Lord, this is what I need. Um, all I need is just to kind of understand how beautiful you are, how amazing you are, and where I am. I'm I hear that you're beautiful, you're amazing, and all of that, but I don't know. And all I'm praying right now to you is just bring me to that position of where I can truly appreciate your beauty, and through that kind of being coming to that position of where I can freely, without any impulse or like force or anything, just this being this freely and fully offering my heart to you. And all I want to do it just because there's no reason why I want to do that except for saying that because you are my eternal Lord. I don't want to fully and freely offer my heart to you because, as we were discussing in the previous things, not because I want to be liberated from this place, or not because somebody is saying it to me, or not because of any other reason. All I want to freely and fully offer my heart to you is just because you are my eternal Lord, and that is the only reason that I want to offer my heart to you. um, there are a lot of thoughts running behind my head after reading this, but I'll end it here. And if there are, sorry, I was little, I think, all over the place today with respect to after, especially after I read that. But if there are any corrections or comments, the floor is open.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat pranams, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Obviously, sure.
You were not all over, Prabhu. It was so good. And thank you so much for sharing Chaitanya Charan Prabhu's prayer. I like the last line. That was like the punchline for me. And thank you for reading it twice. Ultimately, I'm so tiny. I have so much of desire. I sometimes go in front of the Lord. I pray like I already decided what the outcome should be, and
Mhm.
I pray that way. I don't even let the Lord to intervene in my life. I go and ask. I want this, but for this, the kartaham iti manyate, that mentality to go off is something I cannot, for sure I cannot do that. I have to let Lord to intervene, to detach myself. So yes, prayer is something very, very powerful. We should trust on the prayers. Other than prayers, nothing is going to work out. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for your wonderful preparation for this topic. And yes, as you said, it's very much related. Chaitanya Charan Prabhu's prayer was very much related to today's class. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. If any other comments or questions, then otherwise we can end it. Yeah, then we'll end. Thank you so much for joining and giving that encouragement. Um, I'll share the link of Chaitanya Charan Prabhu's thing in our Bhagavatam and other groups.
Oh, that would be great. Thank you. And thank you so much. You and Govinda Mohini Mataji are always savior,
No.
like a substitute or, always. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, everyone. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.